Hello everyone. Today we will be doing some Leetcode and we are focusing on contains duplicate all in C++. Now, just to go over the question first, what I'm going to be doing is that we will be doing our formula, just how we set up every single question, input, what data structure slash algorithm slash technique to use, what do we do with the data, and then what are we outputting. So we're going to answer these 4 questions while we're going over this question right here. So given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and return false if every element is distinct. So just going over the examples, namely, so we have a given array that we have called nums, where we're trying to see if we have a given integer array. We're trying to see if it appears twice overall. It's very self-explanatory. We're just making a Boolean solution to be able to start with this, and so that's already answering one of the questions. True if an element appears twice. That's already the first question we already answered. The input that we have to use in this case, according to this question, is just really all we have is just an array of nums. And any data structure or algorithm to use. I mean, we don't really have to do anything, so we're just going to focus on we're just going to focus on putting in a set, which is sort of behaves kind of like a map. The only difference is that instead of using 2 variables that maps typically use, since there's a key value pair relationship between them, a set just really focuses on one number or just one variable. But it's technically one number in this case. And so what we will be doing is that we will be using a set, just given the time complexity of it. It's similar to maps. Again, just given the space and time of it, it's going to be constant since we are using a data structure to start with, and that we are also storing some of the variables of every single one that was checked. Hence the same behavior as maps typically rely on. So we can just probably stick with step 1 to start with, initialize the set. And then what we will be doing for step 2 to begin with, overall, what we will be doing with the following data is that we will use our set to check every element in the array which was visited, and we will store the numbers in the set and then check to see if there was a match. Just going to put this right here for when we are going through the array, and typically we would use a for loop to start with, and we're going to basically just store every single number that we've already visited throughout the array and checking to see if there is a match to start with. So it's pretty self-explanatory. This thing should be pretty easy to start with. It's pretty easy to begin with. So unordered set is going to have a variable that we declare. I'm going to call this one mega set, just because. Okay, and then we're just going to stick with step 2 already. It's again very self-explanatory. For int I is going to be equal to 0, and then I is going to be less than nums dot size to start with. That's just how we deal with arrays in general when we're going up and down the thread. And then now we are going to store the numbers in the set that we have already visited. Right here. So, and while we are storing these numbers in the set, while we are going up, is that we will check to see if count right here. We're going to check for every single variable that we have, and then we will return true. because this method already called within the set from the STL library is that it's going to be storing every single number that we've already seen while we are scanning throughout the rest of the array, and if it matches within the following set that we've already accounted for, then we're going to return true. And then, given the fact that this is inside the for loop to start with, I'm just going to put an edge case right here, return false. And now this is the case where if we don't see a match, then we therefore put the element we visit into the set, because the set is really just keeping everything all together. A set's kind of like a basket whenever you are scanning throughout a series of data to begin with, and it will actually keep track of every single variable that one person has already visited. So technically what we will put in is going to be mega set.insert as one of the methods that's already called, and then we're going to store the element inside of the set. So let's just test this to see if this already works. All right, it passes all the test cases. All right, and it works all the way. So to give a breakdown on exactly the time and space complexity of the following is that, given the fact that we are using a data structure of set to begin with, and we are accounting for our array, and we are storing all the numbers in the array, the time complexity is going to be O of n, which is constant, which therefore, the reason why it's constant is because it's relative to the n represents the size of the array. If we have more numbers in the array, the program is going to run slower. And then if the space complexity at the same time is O of n, because we are storing the elements that we've already visited inside of a set, which is a data structure that we've already called upon. And this following solution is already pretty optimal to start with, given the fact it's on constant time, and so there's really not that much improvement that we really need. And so yeah, that's just pretty much it for contains duplicate. Thank you again for watching. If you have any more questions in particular that you would like for me to go over, feel free to put them in the comment section, and as always, take care. Bye bye.